I woke to silence that felt staged, not the soft, accidental quiet of dawn, but the kind that waits. A weight across my waist, warm, possessive, his arm, my lover's. For half a second I let myself believe this was just another stolen morning, another lie wrapped in skin and breath. Then the air shifted. I opened my eyes. The doorway was filled. My husband stood there, fully dressed, jacket on, keys in hand, as if he'd been ready for hours, as if he'd been waiting for this exact frame to complete itself. He didn't shout, didn't flinch, didn't blink. He just watched. The room smelled like sex and regret. The sheets were twisted around my legs, evidence I hadn't bothered to hide. I felt my heartbeat slow, not panic, not shame, calculation. This wasn't discovery. This was arrival. I studied his face for cracks. There were none. No anger, no devastation, just a calm that felt rehearsed. My lover stirred beside me, oblivious, breathing deep and stupid. I didn't move. I let my husband take it in, the skin, the intimacy, the betrayal framed in morning light. I waited for him to speak. He smiled. That was when I knew something had gone wrong. The truth didn't hit me all at once. It crept. My husband had always been observant, too observant, the kind of man who noticed pauses in conversation, patterns in silence, the way lies needed air to survive. I'd told myself I was careful, separate phone, careful excuses, a lover who knew his place. But standing there, watching me wake in another man's arms, my husband didn't look betrayed. He looked confirmed. "You look comfortable," he said finally, calm, polite. My lover woke fully then. Panic shattered his face when he saw the doorway. He scrambled back, reaching for the sheet like it could save him. I said nothing. My husband stepped inside, slowly, deliberately. He glanced at my lover, then back to me. So this is him. No accusation, just inventory. I searched my own memory for signs I'd missed. Late nights when he asked nothing, mornings when he kissed my forehead and left early, the space he'd been giving me, too much space. He hadn't been distant, he'd been preparing. "I didn't plan for you to be awake," he added, "but that's fine." Fine. That word settled in my chest like a blade. This wasn't about my affair, not entirely. This was about control, and suddenly I wasn't sure whose game I'd been playing. He didn't confront me that day. He left, just turned around and walked out, as if he'd seen enough art for one morning. My lover begged me to explain. I told him to leave. My voice didn't shake. Inside, something had begun to sharpen. Over the next week, my husband became a ghost who still shared my house. Polite messages, neutral glances, no anger, no questions. That was worse. I started watching him the way I'd once watched my lover, quietly, obsessively. I noticed the locked drawer in his study, the burner phone he forgot to hide well enough, the way he took calls in the car. So I did what I always did when things slipped beyond emotion. I investigated. Phone records, a private investigator I paid in cash, emails that weren't erased, just archived like trophies. What I found didn't absolve me, but it explained him. He hadn't been the faithful husband watching his wife unravel. He'd been cheating long before I had. Different woman, longer history, careful, controlled. My affair hadn't broken him, it had offended him. I realized then that the moment in the doorway hadn't been discovery, it had been theater. He wanted me to know he knew. He wanted to see if I'd break. I didn't, and that seemed to disappoint him. The report arrived on a Tuesday. Photos, dates, locations, her name. I waited until dinner. He sat across from me, eating calmly, as if we were still pretending at marriage. I placed the folder on the table between us. He looked at it, then at me. "What's this?" he asked. "Your other life," I said. He didn't open it at first, just studied my face. I could see the moment he realized the balance had shifted. When he finally flipped it open, the smile vanished. The silence stretched. "I assume," I continued, "you plan to use my affair as leverage, control, a reason to keep me quiet." He closed the folder slowly. "You weren't supposed to find out." There it was. Not denial, not guilt, just miscalculation. I leaned back. "You underestimated me." For the first time since that morning, his composure cracked. Just slightly. Enough. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I told him what I'd already done. The lawyer, the separate accounts, the copies of everything, stored, dated, insured. I told him his lover had been informed, not out of spite, out of accuracy. "You wanted power," I said. "You mistook silence for weakness." He tried to speak. I stood. "I won't expose you publicly," I added. "That would be emotional." I handed him the envelope. "Terms, conditions. I'll disappear quietly. You'll lose control permanently." His face collapsed then, not into rage, but something worse, irrelevance. I walked past him, toward the bedroom, toward the life I was leaving behind. My lover was already gone. He'd served his purpose. At the door, I paused. "You should have confronted me," I said. "You chose spectacle instead." I didn't wait for his answer. The city looked different once I left. Sharper, cleaner. I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. Betrayal doesn't always destroy people. Sometimes it clarifies them. It strips away the illusion that love and control are the same thing. I had mistaken secrecy for freedom. He had mistaken surveillance for dominance. We were both wrong, but I was the only one who walked away with nothing left to lose. The last message from him stayed unread. I didn't need closure from a man who mistook watching for winning. I closed the door on that life without ceremony, and for the first time in years, I slept alone, undisturbed, unobserved, and completely out of reach.